All right, I've got a couple of bowls here. I was out in the shop, I think it was yesterday, and I found an old block of porcelain I had. It was about 15 pounds and it was pretty hard. And so I dropped it on the concrete floor a few times to kind of try to wake it up. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but just taking a block of clay and popping it on the concrete floor a few times is supposed to kind of shock it. And then I was able to wedge it back up. So I have 5 pounds left, and I have 2 bowls here that I threw. Let's see, I did have a tape measure. This one is just over 11 inches and about 4 inches tall, and this one's a little narrower. It's about 10 and a half, and it's about 5 inches tall. So I like doing porcelain in these bowls. You can see these are, and I have fun. I put a little bit of a split rim on that one. I'm trying to keep it from sliding off here because it's not stuck. But I'm getting ready to flip these over and trim them. But I wanted to show them to you before I did. And then if this works out well, this other big one here, then I may try to go ahead and throw that other 5 pounds into another bowl at the end of this video. But I know I tell you guys a lot of stories, and I'm just filling space sometimes when I'm glazing or doing something. It's just, you know, I guess it's just life, things that happen or have happened. So I'll share a quick one this morning. My wife does a lot of gardening around here in the yard, and I'll give you a quick peek at it if I can. You can see out here, we have flower beds everywhere. They're around here. We've just put in some stonework over here. And we keep flower beds going all the time. And a while back, if you're familiar with Bumgards or Atwoods or Orslins or any of those, we have a Bumgards out here. And she went to Bumgards and she said, I'm gonna buy some overalls. And I'm like, huh? And she said, yeah. So she went and bought her some pair of farmer's overalls, and she'll put them on, and that's what she does her yard work in, because, you know, she doesn't worry about her clothes. She just does. And I've seen some really nice ones at Atwoods for women too, that I offered to buy her, that have the reinforced, you know, knees, and they're in, you know, nice colors, tans and pinks, purples, or whatever. And she's like, no, I'm good with my good old jean overalls. So she's been out working in the yard, and she has a couple of nice trowels that she really likes. But she had lost one of them, and she just couldn't find it. And, you know, I misplace things all the time. I'm like, I have to be careful not to blame somebody else, because it's usually me, but you're always asking, did you do something with that? But she was like, I know I had it, and I don't know where it was. So, yeah, I am kind of telling myself that I have to not blame somebody else for my issues. But I told her, you know, it's going to show up. I do the same thing, and then I'll go buy one, and then it will show up. So today, I was out working. I was cleaning the shop up a little bit for this little video, and I'll add something in here. The other night, I was out in the dark by a compost pile that I have, and if some of you follow me on Instagram, you know what I'm about to tell you, but I ran into a little buddy out there, and I will tell you, nothing but the hand of God kept me from having a very severe copperhead bite. This was a big snake. I'm talking fat. He was fat, and he was about 3 foot long, and I felt him on my left foot. I don't know how I felt him. My camera showed it as brighter than it was, because the iPhone camera really brightened it up, but it was so dark that with me not having a light, I couldn't see him, and I don't know how in the world I picked up on that pattern out of the corner of my eye. I felt it on the side of my foot. I jumped, I yelled. I guarantee you, I live up here in the woods, and every house for about 2 miles probably heard me. But anyway, today, I was dumping some water out there and thinking, I'm just going to go back out there. It's daylight. I'll be careful. I'll watch what I'm doing, and I'm going to dump some of my clay water out there by the compost pile, just to get over my fear, because I'm telling you, I have been looking in the shop, in the garage. It's like my neighbor had one in the garage last year, so it's like I'm really, really aware of the possibility of copperheads out here right now. But I went out there and I saw this pile of dirt, and it actually had her little trowel handle sticking out of it. And what she had done was she had had some dirt that she had dumped out there, and it was probably like it was with me. It was getting close to dark. She didn't see it, and it was in her bucket, and she dumped it, and it was just the handle sticking out of that pile of dirt. So, of course, you kind of probably know me a little bit from my videos, but instead of just taking it to her, I was cleaning up some pottery tools. I cleaned it up, I washed it up real nice, and then I took it to the front porch, took a picture of it like Amazon does, and then sent her a text saying, "Your trowel has been delivered," rang the doorbell and ran. Because that's the kind of fun we have with each other. And I couldn't even get back here to the studio before my phone was ringing, and she's going, "Where did you find that thing?" Because you know how frustrating it is. You put it up where it's going to be safe, and it is, because even you can't find it. So anyway, another one of my silly little stories to share with you. But I'm going to trim these. I'm going to get them on the wheel over here, and I'm just going to film myself trimming them so you can kind of see my process in trimming. So I'll get right to it. All right, I'm going to start with the taller bowl here. I threw it first. And I just tend to use these Dolan trim tools. I've had these forever. I know there's a lot of different types out there, but it's just, they're cheap, they're standby. I think they went out of business, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody went out of business recently. That was a standby. They just never did start back up after either COVID or one of the floods out there with North Carolina. Maybe somebody can give me a comment and tell me who that was. But this bowl is not real thick. I'm not taking a lot off of it. It's kind of wet on the bottom. Down in here, I like to tap. I can tell by the sound of what's going on there. This is more of a little mixing bowl. I like to make them a little deeper sometimes. And then I'll tend to just kind of try to make sure I'm coming out any wiring off grooves that are there, to just bring those, flatten it out before I start digging into it. And we get a nice flat little bottom like that. But I really want to keep this kind of thick, kind of heavy. You know, I want it to have some weight, so you throw a mixer or something in it and you're not going to just lose it. And then a lot of times I'll cut my little edge here first. And we'll get into the middle of it here. But that snake, I put a picture of it in between me showing you these bowls and starting to trim. Thankfully, neither one of us were harmed. I will tell you, I do not wish him long life, and I hope he has a nice, happy, natural passing. But I didn't get bit, and he went on his way into the woods. And I would be happy to have somebody relocate him, but he didn't give me his address, and I'm not going to go visit. So I forget about those things out here where we live until it happens probably once a season. The wife there was working with some mulch, like I say, gardening one time, and she grabbed a handful of mulch to throw it, and actually picked up a baby copperhead. When she threw it, she saw it in there. And that's when our granddaughter was really young and out there with her, and it was like, ooh, no. Not something we want to be doing. All right, I want to get a little more depth in that, but I really don't want to go too deep. I know this bottom's not super thick on me, so I just want to get a nice, pretty little foot put on here. I wonder how y'all are doing. If you'll give me some feedback. My sales have kind of slowed down. I think we're in between. A lot of people like us have been really tied up with graduations. You know, after spring break, I know the economy is, good old inflation is not helping anybody in this country at the moment. And of course, the gas prices. And I don't want to talk politics about anything, just pricing itself has gotten to be an impact on people. Shall I put it that way? It's been an impact on us. But I'm not selling stuff the way I was for a while. Stuff just not moving real quick. I went into the shop the other day and took a few things and thought I'd do a quick inventory, and it was like, there's still a lot of stuff here. But a lot of my big movers I was out of stock on. And it was just simple things like mugs and tumblers and stuff that seemed to still be there. It's got a little bit of a wobble to it. But I think it'll fire out okay. I like to put a few grooves down here. It's just kind of a glaze stop. When you have those bumps, it kind of slows things down if it's going to run off on you. And I think on this one, I'm going to try to just do some of this. Put some ribbing in it. Very faint, but with the glaze, it'll give it a nice little break. Be a pretty bowl. Kind of to the point right now with my little shop I go to is pretty stocked up, and so I'm just making more things that I enjoy doing instead of things that I sell so much of. So, simple enough right there. And we have a bowl that's trimmed. Call it quits. And I'll grab the next one. Okay, here's the next one. And this one, when I got it off of the bat, it had a little bubble here. So I'm hoping this will just trim right out without any trouble. So anyway, I did want to give a shout out to, and I hope you see this video, Michelle V 3918. The other night I was at my grandson's graduation, which was huge. And we had to get there like an hour early to get a seat in the bleachers, and it was stormy. My lovely wife was smart enough to bring a picnic blanket that folds up that we could actually unfold and was waterproof and put over our heads when it was raining. But while I was killing time, I read a comment, and I'm telling you guys, I love your comments. I love having feedback from you. I love hearing just things that you have to say and share with me, and it's not. I'm not begging for compliments. I'm seriously, but Michelle V sent me just a note that just made me smile. You know, I just want you to know I appreciated your comment. It was really nice to hear from you, and I hope your pottery is going well for you. We get a kick out of him. You know, they get their diploma, you know, they hand it to them when they come across the stage, and it's in this nice little folder, but it's actually empty. They get the diploma later. That's just the presentation part. So we had a graduation party for him yesterday, and everybody was telling him that the reason it was empty is because Chat GPT got his diploma. He didn't, and he was not about to deny any of that, because I'm sure he got a little bit of help. And I'm being hesitant in saying he got a lot of help from Chat GPT this year. I think they've really changed, and I think it's good that the school is not letting them use their phones like they did for a while. Because I think we'll have better educated children. That is my opinion. it can be used in a good way. Not liking the sound of this one so much. And I need to really try to get that bubble trimmed out of here. But he's a boy that has been in our lives since the day he was born, and my wife she retired about the time he was born, and he's 18 now, and she stayed home and kept him, and so he's our little buddy. He may be 18 and going away to school, but he's still our little buddy. He always will be. Not sure I'm liking this trim tool. I think I'm going to switch over. But I would love to hear from y'all about that. I am not an expert. I will reiterate over and over again that I am not an expert. I started this somewhere around 2018 because of a head injury. I had suffered a TBI from a bicycle wreck. And after 29 years in IT, I just really couldn't do the work anymore. And I had taken one semester of ceramics in high school when I was 17. And I just always had an interest in it, but I never went back to it. And when I was dealing with that head injury, one time I wandered into a coffee shop that had a pottery studio in the back. And I got to talking to the people in the back, and they gave lessons, and I told my wife about it, and she's like, you should take some classes. And I said, you know what, we should take some classes. And we did. We signed up for classes, and this studio was about an hour away from our home. I had actually had got an Airbnb over that way when I walked in there and found it. So I was just away from the house. But it was a nice drive. And so we signed up for like a 7 a.m. class, and we were getting up early to drive over there and take classes. And as she will tell you, the wheel didn't like her, and it seemed to get along okay with me. So I throw things, and she loves to decorate and hand build and do some different things. But when I bought this new wheel, I offered to keep the old one and see if she wanted to try and do it again. And she doesn't want to. Maybe someday. But we did have a nice graduation party. Getting this boy ready to move on in life. And he's a good kid. So anyway, this is porcelain. I like throwing porcelain. If you throw B-Mix, I think B-Mix feels a lot like the porcelain. I just always love the smoothness of it and the way it works. But it takes glaze so nicely. Your colors with porcelain, I feel like, are so vibrant. And it's funny because I'll probably end up doing more of a honey flux white on this. Won't do a lot of color except for maybe some accent for the rim, like that last video. And if you want to see what that looks like, go look at my honey flux video that I just did, real close to this one. But this is kind of wet still. I don't do a lot. Let's see. Yeah, I just get a nice little foot on here. I haven't really done a lot right here. I think I'll cut this in just a little bit. I think I've got enough clay there to bring that in a little bit. Give it a nice shape. Isn't that fun? I don't care who you are, doing that's just fun. Trimming is a Let me know what you think of trimming. I enjoy trimming. Throwing and trimming. If I could do that, nothing else, I'd be fine. You know, take away the wedging, take away the glazing, all that. And I said with the glazing to me is just a little bit of a, oh, am I going to do right or am I going to do wrong, and how's it going to come out? And I always remember one time, and I may have told you this story before, but before I had my own kiln, I went down to the place that was firing my stuff. When I was picking it up, I saw this really gorgeous mug. It was Smoky Merlot over Obsidian. And I think it had a little bit of something on the rim. I don't remember what it was. The inside was actually coyote eggshell. I still remember this mug. And I saw it and I thought, man, that is gorgeous. And I asked the shop owner, I said, whose is that? And she just looked at me. She's like, that's yours. You made that. I'm like, no way. I couldn't even believe I made it. The glaze came out so nicely on it. I was like, oh, really? That's nice. I get to take that home. And I also remember a time going down where there was one that I know my wife and I had worked on together, and we were really excited to pick it up from the local shop. And apparently somebody else loved it too, because it wasn't there. Somebody had got it out of the kiln and walked away with it, and we never got to see the finished product. And I don't remember what the color was, but it is what it is. Sometimes that happens. Well, this thing, I feel like this thing has slid on me a little bit. Peel that back and move it a hair. That's what's happened. I lost one of my little keepers here. So let me see if I can't recenter that a little bit. There we go. I have to go that way. Have to be really careful with that, because that's really hard to do once you have to recenter it. All right, try to set that again. So, but yeah, please feel free to send questions, comments. If there's anything I'm capable of doing and filming and sharing with you, I'm happy. I'm always willing to try something. It's not like I got anything better to do right now. Summer's coming, and we go to a few ball games here and there, but still not wanting to stay where I want it. And I'm still trying to figure this channel out, because I'm always amazed. Sometimes I put a video out and I think nobody's going to watch that, and I'll have so many people that watch it and comment it, and then I'll put one out that's a shorter one and I don't get hardly any hits on it. And I don't know if it's the content. I don't know if it's the YouTube algorithm. I'm still trying to figure it all out, and I do appreciate those of you that watch and enjoy and comment, so thank you. All right, that's about it. I'm gonna leave that as it is. It keeps sliding on me. Oh, yeah, I've lost my keepers again. So I think we're close enough that we're just gonna say, you know what, that's a nice little bowl. She's sitting pretty tight right there. So I'll give it a stamp. And we'll call it good. I'll try to throw this other 5 pounds and add it to the end of this video. If it's not there, you'll know it didn't work out for me. But thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate all of you. Cheers. All right, I've got 5 pounds of porcelain here. I think on the scale it was 5.03. This is the last of my 15 pounds that I started with. And I'm just going to try to center this, do a little coning. She's pretty stiff. She's been in the shop for a long time. Like I say, I was really throwing it on the floor yesterday, trying to wake it up. But the porcelain is pretty fun to work with. It's smooth. And this will take me a little bit if I don't mess it up like I'm about to do right here. Hopefully I can about messed it up and coning it. You can watch a lot of potters out on YouTube here that really put me to shame with throwing, I'll tell you that. There's a lot of guys that really have the art form down. See what we get going here. If I can pull this back out or not. I have found, and I hope that you do too, as you continue to grow with your pottery, that I'm able to save more things than I used to be able to. This is just really stiff though. I think that's why it's giving me so much grief. Let's see if I can get that centered or not. One thing that's helpful is sometimes keeping a sponge in your hand when you're throwing that's got some water in it. Just a little tip. Kind of hold it in there when you're doing this, and then you can squeeze it and add some moisture. But the other two bowls, which is going to be just like this one, I really don't have a plan or a shape. I just kind of go into it and then see what comes out of it. I like to create that way sometimes. Because so often you know what you've got to do. You're making mugs, you're making, like for me, mixing bowls or but when I can sit down and really not have a plan, I kind of like it that way. All right, this is pretty close. I like to use this little knuckle right here. And I learned that in a class I went to. And I'm not saying it's anything special. It's just the instructor, that's what she liked to do when she was working with bigger pieces like this, was to use that knuckle to kind of open that up and go down in. And I find that works well, especially with large platters. Just slow my wheel down. I get it going too fast. But when you're doing platters that you're really trying to pull out and you get one a wide opening in there, that works really nicely. I just want to compress my bottom. Do that back and forth with my fingers, with my sponge. And again, sometimes I still use this thing once in a while. I like the way it can really get things to flatten out. I put some pressure on it and get it to level out the way I want it to. And it just works well. I think I picked those up at Tuesday morning sometime. I'm always looking for something. I may be in the kitchen aisle, but I'm looking for pottery tools. A lot of times, like I said, I do cook a lot, so I do end up in the kitchen aisle looking to see what's there too, but try to get this a little bit wider. try to pull this back in, try to get some height on it. So this porcelain is just really, I bet it's been sitting out here in a bag for close to a year. So it's just, when I get it, it's too wet to throw. I almost need to wedge it and leave it sit out overnight to throw it, and then I put it back and I forget about it and I don't use it. I go back to stoneware or something. All right, I got that a little thin at the top. I don't really like that. We'll fix it. Obviously, I'm going for a bowl with a little more depth in it. I am in, obviously, the northwest corner of Arkansas, and so I don't have all the same clays available to me that you may have to you, and you may not have what I have, but I don't have a good source for B-Mix, and I like B-Mix. I like Kentucky Mud Works, but that seems to have come and gone from one of the local suppliers. They had a speckled clay. It was a really light white colored clay with specks in it. I'm trying to remember what the name of it was called. But I really liked it. It threw well, and it wasn't heavy like this Bracker's heavy speckle. It was a real pretty, dainty speckle, I guess. Seemed like a nice clay. I had a few things I threw with it. There's a mug at my sister's house. When I go over there for coffee, I always grab that I made, and it was made out of that. It's funny, I go to my brother's or my sister's house for coffee and I always grab one of my mugs and I critique it. I'm always looking at it to see, is it better? Is it worse than what I do now? How did I do on that? A lot of my family members have my stuff because I give them things. And they have bought several pieces from me. All right, I'm still getting a little height out of this. You know, at this point, I've got some grooves, and I'm just trying to throw and really smooth things out to get my wall consistent. I'm a little thick right here on this. See this top part? I want to keep that. I like that thick rim. That keeps me a lot from warping. My wife just made an entrance and saw the camera was running and backed back out. So anyway, all right, I'm gonna try to make a bowl out of this now. Start shaping and stretching it some. What's your favorite part of pottery? Do y'all like throwing? Like glazing, hand building? I'm gonna get back to some hand building. I have not done hand building in a while. And right now, because I am in a time when I'm not so much worried about making stuff to supply the store with, I'm making stuff I wanna do, so this will be my chance to do some of that. I'm big on using metal ribs. If you haven't used these, then you need to really practice because you can really do a lot with them on shaping. Compressing that clay on the outside, drying off that skim there, See how that just cleans right up. And try to shaping can take some time for me. I'm not a fast thrower. In one of my classes, I actually threw a small round bottle with a long neck on it. And I always remember my instructor when I said something about, you know, that, and he said, yeah, but it took you a frickin' hour to do it. Yeah, well, I've had 4 classes, okay? Give me a break, dude. And he was just giving me a hard time, I know he was. All right, just a big deep bowl. I feel like I still need to pull a little bit more on it, which means I'll probably mess it up, but I tend to do that. I'll overwork it a little bit, but I hate that little chunk of clay down here that I leave sometimes. There we go. I tend to keep my hands together. Bring that rim out a little bit right there and compress it with my thumb. And we got us a nice big bowl there. I highly recommend, if you get these Mudtools, a soft rubber rib like that for cleaning the inside of it out once you get to a certain point and shaping it. Taking that slip off and compressing it. Use it to do a little shaping with out here. Anyway, I think we're about to get there with it. Gives me a nice thick foot on it that I can trim nicely. Keep that nice little thick lip right there. And then the old chamois from the garage. I've not used this sometimes and it leaves me a nice sharp edge up here and I don't like that. So I really like to do this and compress it, round that off, get you a nice little edge on it. See how that is? And that's just pretty. Got that. Probably wipe some of this out. I've still got some finger marks in here, which aren't horrible. I like finger marks. It kind of shows, you know, it's a part of the creator. There we go. Take our little rib and we'll work on that rim just a little bit right there. I like to just put a little bit of groove in that with that little tip. See how I'm doing that? Move that slip. And we're about there. I need my little homemade trim tool that I've shared before. Makes a nice little bottom on it. there we go. Just a nice bowl. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate y'all. Cheers.